Hey, welcome back to another video, folks, on sport climbing mountain today. As you can see, I've got the board up, so we're going to do something along those lines. It's going to be multi-pitch sport climbing, actually. Not just sport climbing, it could be multi-pitching, on trad stuff, but that's got bolted belays. Absolutely the same principle. Just like saying the word sport climbing, or the word sport climbing, keeps me happy and in my happy place, because I'd love sport climbing. It's flipping ace. I love trad climbing. Trad climbing is where it all began, really. Hill walking, scrambling, then trad climbing. And what we're going to look at is 3 methods that trad climbers wouldn't like for setting up a belay on bolts, right? And we're going to use a couple of different things and a combo of 2 things as well. It's supposed to be 2 Minute Tuesday, isn't it? It's not going to be 2 minutes, but it's going to be shortish one. So we'll try and crack on with it. So here we are. We've got our sport mountain setup. We've got this setup here. We're going to ignore that one for now. Just look at this pair of bolts with a chain linking it, and it's exactly what we've got here. I've led up my pitch, be it trad or sport, whatever it is, but I've got to a bolted belay linked with chains. I'm looking at it and going, that bolt is textbook, that bolt is textbook. This chain, yeah, all solid. I've got no doubts in my mind at all that it is absolutely bombers, that. So first thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to upset the trad people already, is I'm going to clip up into here, and that's what I'm going to fix myself to. So I'll get my clovitch in. Let's do it one-handed. I've watched all those YouTube videos again. I can do a one-handed clovitch. There we go. Spin him shut. Now what I would do here now is tighten that all up as tight as a tight thing. I'm not going to, because it pulls sport mountain around a bit, doesn't it? But you have to imagine that that's properly tight, right? That's all I'm going to clip to. That, in my mind, is as safe as a safe thing. Bomber bolts, nice intact chain that's got no sign of cracking or corrosion or anything weird going on. That's me. I'm safe. That's what I'm going to shout down to my mate. They can take me off belay. I can get on with the next bit. The next bit is going to be getting my belay plate on, which is guide plate, because that's what I'm going to do on this kind of sport setup. Clip it into there. I've clipped and flipped because that's what I like to do. Keeps the gate away from the rock, sits nicely. That's in. Let's get him in as well. There might be other options here. You might decide to clip straight into the bolt, but we've got this nice ring there, so that's what I'm going to use. Reach down to that, reset that, because I'm sure that got pulled around when I wasn't looking then. And take the rope into my mate. They'll shout that's me. I don't really care if I hear that. Just when it goes tight, I'll put them on belay. So that's them. Chuck that in. Get them all done up and everything, of course. Great, good to go. Belay away. They get up to here. What can they clip into? Whatever they want to be honest. It's all solid. I'd probably put them into that ring in this setup, okay? And then either they're going to lead the next pitch or we'll block lead, whatever it's going to be. Perfect for block leading type stuff, isn't it? Because there's no ropes involved in it or anything. As soon as I'm thinking of block leading, I don't want to involve the rope in a setup. Just creates absolute faff that's not needed. So there we go. Does it tick those boxes that I usually bang on about? Equalised, independent, and an angle. We're not really working on that framework at the moment. Think back, and if you haven't watched it, I'll put a link up to there, about the idea of Serene and ideas as a framework for setting up belays. Does it tick those boxes? Does it tick some of them? Does it tick all of them? Does it tick any of them? Have a little think about that. There you go, option 1. Let's leave that at that for now. Let's de-rig that for a second. So back in the game, we're going to assume there's no chains here now, and we're going to use that bolt and that bolt, so it's just 2 wider bolts. So we can do a slightly different thing now. They're not linked with a chain or anything, so I don't really want to clip just into one and belay off the other one, because they're kind of single points then. So although I'm being a bit more blasé about things today, I'm not quite that blasé. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to get a sling. And I've mentioned this in other videos, the sliding X with limiter knots. It's one way of doing things, not the only way. You can do it other ways, but it's the way I'm going to do now. So to set that up, overhand and another overhand, and you can get those a bit closer together probably, something like that. We'll try it. And I've set this up at the ground before I've even started climbing, and this sling is going to be on the back of my harness, all twizzled up and stored, just ready for each belay. We shall use screw gates, because kind of why not. Clip that one in there. Clip that one into the far one. Find the other one, there we go. Do them up. Should have done that one up straight away, shouldn't I? Slip in there, that's poor skills. And now, what we can do here is clip them in, great. Clip myself into there, great. Now this is a little bit low in this setup, you can just imagine I'm hanging off that or something. So that's me safe there, right? What would I do next? Well, you can see where this is going. I clip my ATC into there, clip it and flip it, spin him round, done. Get my other carabiner. I've already shouted down to mate that I'm safe. Yeah, take all the rope in, to this on them, and then again, you've got the idea, bang it in there, do them all up, final double check for all these things as always, belay away, jobs are good. And these are together, and you know I often like to keep them apart, but yeah, that's absolutely fine. Of course there's other options, but that's just one way of doing it. It's far enough apart, it's not rubbing or anything, I'm happy with that. Could you clip that to that? Yes. Could you put something else? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to go into any more stuff. Why do I do this though, rather than just clipping and doing a normal PowerPoint? It's because it's just a fraction quicker. It's set up and ready to go. It's clip, clip, done, clip, clip, done, clip, clip, done each time, right? So it's just a bit quicker. What would I actually do in real life? You can. How many screw gates have I used there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that unreasonable to carry 5 screw gates? No, I don't think so. Do I carry 5 screw gates? Not normally, if I'm honest. So what would I do? Well, I just put a snap gate on one of those bolts. Make sure it's away from the rock and all that kind of jazz. That's good enough for me, right? Sometimes if your bolt is friendly, I don't really like doing it on these ones, but like a nice friendly rounded bolt, then I might lark's foot one side of this into a bolt, right? As long as it's a nice smooth bolt, I've got to be clear on that one. But just a snap gate is fine there. Done. Off you go. So that's 2 options straight away, right? We're going to do one more option here, right? So give me a second to do all that lot, and we'll start again. Okay, so the final option I'm going to show you, just remember there's loads more options, it just happens that I'm showing you that many. Getting this sling, and it looks a bit like I'm going to set up that kind of sliding X with limiter knots, but I'm not this time. Just tying an overhand in there, and that's going to just stay as a little loop, and that's it, done, right? Now, for this setup, we're going to imagine we're using this bolt and that bolt, so they're kind of an offset thing, no chains linking them or anything like that. The other bits don't exist on there, it's simply that bolt and that bolt, right? So, first off, get that, I clip it under that lot just to try and keep it as clear as possible. Sorry about all the noise with this board and stuff, it seems just to echo and echo and echo, banging noises. Right, this is going to become my PowerPoint. I haven't done anything with that yet though, have I? So how can I do that? Well, what I tend to do is I tend to slide that knot up to there, measure that out to where it would be clipped into a carabiner in a second, and I tend to put a clovitch in there, right? Let's get a screw gate. I've got enough screw gates, so I'll stick with screw gates for now. That clovitch is going into there. And then this spare end, just going to clip that up into there as well, so it's out the way. All right, do that up, get it all nice and snug as you can. Now, this is my PowerPoint. This bit is never going to be like super bar tight. I don't really care about it being super bar tight, because remember what I've said about these bolts in each of these situations. I've just deemed them as being like properly A1 quality, super sound, right? So this time I've set that up. That was already in it at the bottom, so I'm just using this setup again and again and again. I've clove hitched it just to take some of the slack out of that bit. I've got it snugged up and everything. Obviously I've left it a bit loose because it is sport mounted. And that's my PowerPoint. Great. Clip myself into there. Again, it's a little bit low because of this setup. Change it around a bit in real life. Get that into there. I've already shouted down safe again to my mate. I've taken the rope in. I bang them on belay. Job's a good one. Or it nearly is, it's not quite as good one yet, but it will be in a moment. Again, look at how many screw gates I've used compared to what I normally carry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So could I use a snap gate on one of those? absolutely I could. It wouldn't be anything down here, there's moving ropes and stuff, it'd be one of these two. Just because of what I've done here, this one, the gate's pressing on the imaginary sport mountain rock a bit, so I wouldn't do it on that one, I'd do it on this one where it's in space. But there we go, job's a good one. Da-da-da-da-da. Mate comes up, they've got that PowerPoint to clip into as we swap over, or whatever we're doing, and off we go again. They'd have one of these on them as well, or something similar, whatever method they choose to do. They get to the next bolted belay, bang, chuck that in, bang, chuck that in. So it's just a nice way of doing it. I like these different options, right? The aim of bolted belay setups is still, of course, to be absolutely super safe, right? But we're just setting up in a slightly different way. As well as being safe, part of the joy of climbing on bolts, even if it's just bolted belay and trad actual climbing, is they're just quick to set up, so you can be really super efficient. That's part of the joy of this kind of climbing is, when you're doing your fun climbing and trying hard, or just having a nice time out enjoying the view and that. And the belay bit, clip, clip, done, clip, clip, done. Excellent, isn't it? I love getting geeky with building belays as much as the next person, you finding anchors, clovitching in the right place, making things work when you're running out of kit and all that sort of stuff. But bolted belays, it's just a different thing, isn't it? I love the simplicity and the quickness of it. There's obviously lots of other ways of doing these things. There's one method of doing this whereby this is replaced with a bowline on the bike. That's quite a neat situation, but for me, just the overhand works quite well, to be honest. I quite like it. Bowline on the bike, it gives you 2 loops here, so maybe that's a bonus rather than just being on 1 loop, but I'm kind of happy just on 1 loop, to be honest. It's often the way we have these things set up, so I'm okay with that. But there you go. Please do fire away with any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them as best I can. But hopefully with this one, it's just a bit of food for thought. It's a bit of a mouthful, that one, isn't it? So have a look at it, see what you think. Go and investigate some other quick bolted anchor setups for sport climbing or trad climbing, or this kind of hybrid stuff as well. Please do find us on Insta, find us on Facebook, the score about that. Click that like button if you've liked it. Smash the subscribe button if you feel you want to do that as well. That would be ace. It's always massively appreciated. I say this every time, but thanks very much for doing that if you have, and thanks very much if you're about to. Thanks for watching. More videos coming up very soon.